This conference will now be recorded.
And again, I thank you folks. We will record the call and at this point, I also want to let you know that the call will be posted a little later today on the Chamber's YouTube website. You can find that at www.nacogdoches.org. In case you have any questions on that, I'd respectfully ask you to put your phones and your computers on mute until we're ready for questions. And we want to remind you that members of the media will be participating today, and you can anticipate, as we have on the previous calls, that there'll be media stories as a result of the information shared here today. It's Shannon, were we able to make a connection? Let's just make sure your sound is working okay.
Can you hear me?
I can now, sir. That's great.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm having to join via phone too. So
I will do your introduction at this point, Shannon. So I'm pleased to introduce Shannon Conklin, one of the partners with HCH Aviation. I had the privilege of meeting Shannon a little over 3 years ago when he and two of his colleagues came to the chamber with an idea, as they did several other organizations, including SFA and NETCO. And it goes to show you what great community partnerships can do in a short period of time. Shannon currently serves as an executive leader excuse me, over global accounts with a multi-billion-dollar aviation firm. His role has him overseeing corporate relations with many of our nation's top carriers. He's a division president overseeing both domestic and international operations. Prior to venturing into commercial aviation sector, Shannon served with the Texas Department of Public Safety as a state trooper, and in 1999 he was selected to join an elite team to protect presidential candidate George W. Bush as he embarked on a nationwide campaign. And serving on a protection detail for the future President of the United States was an honor and one of the most memorable moments of his professional career. Shannon maintains a Master Peace Officer license in the state of Texas and continues to use his law enforcement background volunteering in the community. Shannon is married to his wife, Kirsten, for 12 years. My understanding is that Kirsten currently serves as president of HCH. They have one son and one daughter. Shannon attended the Texas Department of Public Safety Academy in Austin and Stephen F. Austin State University, and he's also been a licensed pilot for more than 23 years. Shannon and his wife reside here in Nacogdoches, Texas. Would you folks say, please, good morning and hello to Shannon Conklin. Good morning, Shannon.
good morning, everyone. Well, first, thank you everyone for your time. It's an absolute honor to be here to speak before everyone. There's so many distinguished folks on this call, and it is absolute honor. And wishing everyone that are safe and well. I mean, we're in a challenging time, and hopefully greener pastures are in the near future relative to COVID. On behalf of the ACH team, my wife, who is president and really a big supporter of this, and behind the scenes so important. John Hughes, who is the chief instructor pilot with this program. Also, John Hasman, who is over support and strategy with our program. Just a wonderful team. So, on behalf of everyone, thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak here. I'm going to cover a lot here in 15 minutes, and hopefully I won't go over that 15-minute window, and we'll breeze through this. I think it's important to talk about the history of where we are today and how we got here, as well as where we are and where we'll be going into the future. My wife and I moved back here in late 2016 to Nacogdoches. We had lived in Austin for a number of years. When we had our first of two children, we made the decision that it was time to move back home to family, to be around family and raise our children in a community that had done so much for us when we grew up. We're both from Nacogdoches. We were both raised here. We love our community. We love our beloved SFA University, and we wanted to move back and raise that family here. And in doing so, we believe that it's extremely important for everyone to be good stewards of their community and give back to the community. And that's what we wanted to do, the same thing that it's given us, it done for us for so many years. Luck would find that we found ourselves moving next door to Todd and Paige Brown. And just it's a delight to have them as neighbors. They still are our neighbors. And that's really where we started to talk about the aviation program. I call it meeting on the 50-yard line. So Todd and I will sometimes meet out in the yard on the fence line and just talk about things. And there was this one day in early 2017, when and Todd had said, hey, we're looking at bringing a professional flight program to the university. And he was leading an exploratory committee to do that. And I said, look, I think that's wonderful. I'm in commercial aviation. I've been a pilot for years and absolutely support such. Would love to see something like that here in Nacogdoches. I said, let me know how I can help keep me up to speed on it. But fast forward a year or so, and I'm sitting with a customer in Dallas at a senior executive with one of the major air carriers. And one of the things I like to do when I talk to the senior leaders with airlines, and really in any business, but I like to ask them, what keeps you up at night? What is your biggest internal and external threat that you see today? And you learn so much from that. As my customers, I want to see what I can do to impact or change and help them to eliminate some of those struggles. And I remember this executive sitting there talking about the external threat, the Spirit Airlines of the world, gaining quick market share, et cetera, et cetera. And then he started talking about the internal threats. There was a list of them: fuel costs, the normal challenges of bringing talent in. But one of the things he said was the shortage of bringing in quality pilots and aircraft technicians. He said they really were struggling to get those kind of folks in. And so I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, wow, that takes me back to a conversation I had with Todd. I'd like to go back and explore this. So I left that meeting and started driving home to Nacogdoches and quickly called Todd and asked where they were on this. And he said, look, it's kind of stalled out a little bit. SFA was looking for a private partner to come in and bring some solutions to this and be a partnership in a flight program. And it stalled out for various reasons. I said, Todd, let me get with some of my close friends who understand this industry and let's see if we can do something. And so we met with John Hughes and John Hasman, and we had coffee and we really stepped back and said, look, we all share a common thread, and that's we love our community. We believe in giving back. I said, look, there's an opportunity here to bring a program that can help SFA, help our university. There's an opportunity here to help our community and help our city. But most importantly, there's an opportunity here to help youth, help young kids. And if you step back and look at the traditional trajectory for a person going into commercial aviation, you will see that they generally come from, it's not always the case, but you'll see that they come from a aviation family. Excuse me. Whether it be commercial aviation, their parents were commercial pilots or in the aviation realm, whether they were in the military and they were exposed to aviation or their family was in aviation in that regard. But you don't see a lot of kids that I would say maybe like myself, raised by a single parent and struggled to pay bills. And I can remember as a little kid, that probably 5 years old, I had this little cast iron airplane. And I would run through a little hayfield with Bermuda grass, and I would pretend like that airplane was the treetops. And I'd never seen an airplane in my life other than overhead. So that there said there's a great opportunity to make a really big impact in our community, but most importantly, to make a big impact to kids. When you think about it for a second, you go out and get these kids from our most inner cities or the kids in our most rural parts of our county and show them a pathway into aviation. If they have an opportunity to command the 777 aircraft over the Atlantic Ocean, that's a real deal, and that's impact, in my opinion. You have a lot of kids out there that have never been exposed to aviation, and we saw, John and my wife and I saw a great opportunity here to really reach in and find those young people and bring them to aviation. Now, you've got kids that would normally go into this program too, but that's the big part for us, the motivating factor here. Well, the next steps were, how do we get this thing going? We called Todd, said, Todd, we'd like to start doing this, but this is a big, heavy lift. We have state regulatory challenges with the education regulatory folks that manage and oversee the school curriculums. You've got the federal government, the FAA, who gives you the 141 certifications that you need. The 141 I like to equate to almost like an ISO standard for businesses. They literally manage and approve every step of your program. Then you get into the local compliance that's here. So this was going to be a big, heavy lift. So as we started the ball rolling with Todd took us before numerous leaders with the university, Dr. Bullard, Dr. Gidry, Dr. Westbrook. If you remember back at this time, there was the university was a state of influx. You had Dr. Patillo's unfortunate passing. You did not have you didn't have Dr. Gordon in place yet. So it was definitely a state of influx. But we continued to move forward. We said this is a very important program, and we want to do this for our community. We continue forward. We started to meet with different folks in the administration. We started to work with the FAA. We started to work with our city and local leaders. Our very own Wayne Mitchell here said, look, hey, I did this up in Maine, and what a blessing. Wayne had actually helped the University of Maine at Augusta build a public partnership with Maine Instrument Flight, and it was a wildly successful program. I said, Wayne, can you get a meeting with me? I want to go up and see this university. I want to go meet with these stakeholders and see what they did, see the challenges that they had, and see if they can help us. And so I got on a plane and went to Maine and had a wonderful meeting with everyone there. And it really gave us a lot of insight to what we would be facing down in Texas and the challenges. Fast forward a little bit further, you have Dr. Gordon, who is new into office, and I think a lot of the leadership was not sure about, do we bring a new program in? What do we do here? We really need Dr. Gordon to embrace this and stand behind and get behind it. So I called up his secretary and said, I'd like to meet with Dr. Gordon, and went into his office and we met, and it was just a delightful meeting. It absolutely was a wonderful meeting. And at the end of that hour-long meeting, I believe Dr. Gordon essentially said, well, why wouldn't we do this? And what is there to lose for doing this? And there's really nothing. What we lose is we lose a missed opportunity. We would have a missed opportunity to really reach out and bring other kids into this program and bring them here to Nacogdoches and to SFA. So Dr. Gordon, I know, left and went and talked to his senior leadership, and we've got the green light to proceed forward. Things were moving along very well with all the senior leaders, and then COVID hit, and that absolutely floored everyone, and continues to wreak havoc across our economies and our families. It's a real thing. It's a real hit. And it was an inflection point for us. We had to step back and say, are we doing the right thing here? I mean, is this really the right thing? We were set to launch in fall of 2020, and there was no way that was going to happen with COVID just now emerging. We had no idea what was going to happen, but we knew it was going to be bad. We just knew it was going to be bad. So we sat back and we circled at the table, and Kristen and John and Melissa and John Hasman and Tracy, we all sat back and said, what do we do here? And I think the general consensus is there's no mountain too big to move when it involves bringing opportunities to our youth. And we said, this is a no-brainer. We're going to move forward. We're going to move forward. So we let the dust settle a little bit, went and met with the senior leadership, Dr. Habit and Dr. Gordon, and said, where are we? They're asking us, where are we? I said, look, this is the state of the industry where we are today. COVID has absolutely floored the commercial aviation world. But let me say this, the airlines are smaller today. This has created a mass exodus of pilots because of due to mandatory retirement, early retirement. There's so many packages being offered by the air carriers to relieve pilots, to relieve some of the staffing demands or lack of staffing demands. So this is creating a situation where when we get on the other side of COVID, we're not going to have enough pilots. Before COVID hit, the Boeing released a study that said the world commercial needs for airline pilots was going to be 800,000 plus pilots over the next 20 years. equally 800,000 plus aircraft technicians over the next 20 years. These are huge numbers. All COVID has done is exacerbated that problem. COVID has made it now where we're going to need that many pilots probably in 15 years, and equally on the aircraft technician side. So this has created a very, very unique opportunity for us to be successful here. The other thing is with the CEOs, if you look back and listen to some of you listen to 90+% of the CEOs in commercial aviation, the airline CEOs around the world, they believe that we're going to be at a pre-COVID levels for airline traffic in early 2023. We're already starting to see, it was in the news this morning, Delta Airlines bringing back 400 pilots. American regional affiliates are starting to hire. Frontier Airlines is starting to bring in new classes now, and we'll start hiring new pilots. So the demand is starting to come back. With the vaccinations, with natural herd immunity, as we start bringing back confidence to air travel, which is some of the safest travel that you can have right now, even with COVID, with hospital-grade filtration systems. I think we're going to see a large uptick in the fall, and well into 2022, we're going to see that curve go up. So with all that said, we are in a very, very unique opportunity to fill a void. We have a lot of flight schools due to COVID that were teetering on the fence of staying in the business or getting out are now gone. And so that has increased more pressure on the industry to produce quality, top-rated pilots for this. So we see we're in a great place. Think about it. The first students that come into this program in the fall of 21 will not graduate until late 23, even into 2024. In a 3-year program within SFA, they will work to have their commercial license. They will have every license needed to go into the cockpit of a commercial airliner. And in their senior year, they will be able to work for the team and be able to make money and train future pilots as well. So they'll be certified flight instructors. So we see a great opportunity there. But the consensus but the consensus for the CEOs is over 90% say that it's going to be back above pre-COVID levels in 2023. That's going to create incredible demand on the pilot shortage for pilots and flight technicians. Where are we today? Well, today there's still a lot to be done to be launched in this fall. There's so much that has to be done. But my hat's off to many, many people. Dr. Abbott, her and her team with Dr. Mize, Dr. Shay Runnels, there's so many folks on her team that have really rolled up the sleeves to make sure that we're going to be able to be successful in the launch in the fall. A lot of things still have to happen, but we're going to be there. You have Irma Breck and Joanna Gilmore with the university who have just jumped in this head first to help us from making sure that everything's launched online to recruitment. Just the university has been wonderful thus far. But today, I can say that we're going to have brand new airplanes to offer our students. The goal for us, ACH's main goal, is to bring a top quality aviation program to these students at minimal cost. Everything that we can do, we're passing this back on to the students. We'll have brand new airplanes, state of the art with glass cockpit technology, state of the art simulators, full motion simulators. Classrooms will be at SFA. Everything is coming together nicely here. The other interesting thing here is with these full motion simulators and these new airplanes, we want to introduce the next generation of pilots to it. So kids in our regional high schools and middle schools, we want to bring those students in, take them to SFA, take them and allow them to fly simulators, put them in an airplane. When they fly that first hour, they get to log that instruction. That's FAA approved time. They'll log that instruction. We're going to give them a purple Flying Jack logbook and it will be signed off on by an instructor. So that child can take, or that young person can take that logbook back. Whether they do anything with it else, whether they go into aviation or not, they'll have that logbook, and hopefully that will symbolize that they can do anything they want in their world if they put some hard work to it. It doesn't require physical strength. It doesn't require even mental strength to be successful in this world, or to fly a 777 airline. It takes willpower, and we want that to signify that. So we're at a great place right now. we see this, we want to build a gold standard program. I know a lot of folks hear me say that. We want to build a gold standard program, but we're going to start out slow. The first target, our first class target, will be roughly 27 students. That's our goal, and we've got a lot to do to get there. And that's purely mathematics based on the aircraft that are coming in and the flight instructors that will be coming in. We want the program to evolve over the next 4 years to at least have 125 students in the program. So we can get there, and it'd be a wonderful program at that level. We also believe that there's a lot of opportunity to bring to young people here in Nacogdoches and to SFA that go beyond the cockpit. And we're looking in subsequent years of bringing other programs here that can help young people enter the field of aviation in other capacities. You think about a child that wants to go into aviation, or I say a young person that wants to go from high school into college and get into a career in the cockpit of an airplane. They can do that in 4 years. Aviation training is not cheap, but they can do that in 4 years, and the median income for a commercial pilot is over $140,000. If a young person wants to get into, and that doesn't require them to go to postgraduate or advanced education beyond their 4 years. We'll also have programs at some point where students can do other things in aviation, like aircraft technicians. It's a goal that we have. We'll see where it goes, but in that world, it's almost $100,000 for median income just in aircraft technicians working working for our commercial airlines. So there's a lot of opportunity. We think that Nacogdoches and Stephen F. Austin are really poised to make this program extremely successful. There's so many people that are behind this, and one person that if one person hasn't contributed to what they have done thus far, it could have put us in peril. And I'll say, I just need to acknowledge a few people real quick, like Robert Flores with Nedco and Larissa Philpott. I do want to acknowledge Joe Cephalou and Chief Jim Seavey, who oversee the airport. Mario Canizares, ever since he's been here in his role, has been extremely supportive to this. The Elliots, Phil and Billy Elliott, Rusty Russ. And when you see these folks, please thank them. Thank our Board of Regents for believing in this program, Dr. Gordon for believing in this program. We really think we're going to make a difference. If we can make a difference in one young person's life, then I would say that that's a success. So, Wayne, back to you.
Well, thank you, Shannon. That was a great overview, and congratulations to you and your team. You folks have done an unbelievable job. Questions of Shannon? If not, it looks like you were very thorough in your presentation today, so that's good news.
Well, hopefully I didn't ramble too much, Wayne. I apologize.
You did a wonderful job, and John, thank you for joining us as well. It's great to have you on the call. And Dr. Abbott, I know that you've got an extraordinary role. Anything you'd like to add, Dr. Abbott? We're all set then. Well, again, thank you, Shannon. Congratulations, and I look forward to my first flight
Yes,
on my private jet. So, well, I'm pleased to welcome. His name has been dropped several times in this conversation, and it's always an honor and a pleasure to have the president of Stephen F. Austin State University on the line. Good morning, Dr. Scott Gordon.
Well, thank you, Wayne, and Shannon. Thank you very much, and the work that you and your team has done on this has been nothing but professional, and y'all have been patient with sometimes the slow pace of higher education, but we're there, man. It's awesome. We're excited, and Judy, you and Shay and Lisa and your team, the work you've done is tremendous, and it's so much appreciated. And my hope is 10 years from now we'll look back and remember this day as when this all started, and we have a booming program with a booming airport, and we are the go-to for major airlines to get pilots and technicians and maintenance personnel and so on. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a great great ride. So as far as updates from the university, you know, we're still looking at COVID, and I know we're all COVID weary, but you know, we have a partnership with Texas Department of Emergency Management, and we worked with them to get Viviture here, and they have a kiosk on campus, and we're testing faculty, staff, and students for free. And so we're seeing our numbers creeping up a little bit. Actually, today was a good day. They went down, but they were up to 26 yesterday, but down now today to 19. We do, as you may recall, have isolation spaces, and we do have 16 students in isolation right now. And so we'll continue to monitor those numbers. I sent out an email to campus about face coverings and the need to continue to be diligent in face coverings, washing hands, and keeping 6 feet apart. We're very excited about some of the progress that we're making in some off-campus programs, both down near Houston at Lone Star Kingwood, Lone Star Atascocita, our RELIS partnership that we announced earlier in the academic year with RELIS, and also expanding some of our education programs, especially teacher training programs in Polk County. So you know, I think the message of the day for me is, you know, Judy Abbott and her team in the Perkins College of Education have been doing a lot of work to expand programming, including the aviation program, as well as some of our off-campus locations. I do also want to give a shout out to our nursing program. Our School of Nursing, as you probably have seen, has been very active in the vaccination clinics that have been popping up around the community. While we don't control the vaccine, we do participate in these vaccine clinics, and you know, our most recent one was, you know, somewhere near 1,000 out at the Expo Center, where our nurses were participating in delivering those vaccines. And I know in my discussions with Judge Sowell that we have about 55,000 vaccines that need to be given out over, you know, hopefully in the near future. And we have our nursing students on hand and willing to participate. So the job that they are doing under the leadership of Tammy Harris has really been wonderful. We've been very active in our legislation, looking at I've had about 24 meetings with various legislators in a variety of committees, and you know, it's going to be an interesting session. And of course, I'm sure that we'll keep everybody up to date, and you'll probably read about a lot of the session happenings in the newspaper. And then the last thing I want to say is our you know, a lot of folks worked very hard on a economic development grant, which has received positive recommendations, and now we are in the process of working with the EDA in Washington, D.C. to finalize that grant. And it looks like we're going to have about $3.5 million to invest in our Innovation and Outreach Campus to establish a Center for Applied Research and Rural Innovation, which is essentially a one-stop shop for the community, the region, the state, to work with our faculty, our students on applied research projects, help solve real-world problems, and really be a hub for economic growth in East Texas. So you'll hear more about that. Hopefully we'll get the definitive word very soon on that, and I'm sure we'll be spreading the word. So thank you, everybody, and I'm excited for things to start, no pun intended, taking off, taking flight, and we've landed a great partnership with HCH.
Well, thank you, Dr. Gordon. You win the pun volume of the day award. So there you go.
You're too punny.
Any questions of Dr. Gordon? Again, thank you, Dr. Gordon, for that presentation. The city manager will be joining us a little later. He had a conflict and asked if he could move down the agenda. So with that in mind, I'm pleased to welcome the president and CEO of the Nacogdoches Economic Development Corporation, Larissa Philpott. Good morning, Larissa.
Good morning. Thank you, Wayne, for inviting Shannon and his team. Economic development can be hard sometimes because it's hard to see immediate results, and this is a project that has been so nice to work on, to see those folks just dive right in and work so well with everybody in our community, and to actually see results and see something happening. So I very much appreciate that we have people like that working in our community. Some notes about unemployment, and I apologize to those of you that were in the chamber board meeting this morning. You already heard this info, but we are at 6.9% unemployment for Nacogdoches County. That's about double what it was this time last year. Not a terrible number, not a number I'm happy about, but compared to the rest of the region, we're doing better than the rest of our partners, specifically counties to the east. But remember, we're a regional economy, so those folks in Jasper County are not necessarily coming here on day trips, because they're at 11, 12, 13% unemployment in some cases. So we're doing okay. We have, thanks to Mary Frances Bradford, she pulled some specific data for us, and we have regained about 2/3 of the jobs that we have lost since the pandemic began, which is a good track. That does mean that about 1/3 of those job losses have proved to be more permanent, which means we are in a position to reskill those folks. Places like things like what Shannon and his team are doing are ideal for that. And we as a community need to keep that in mind and need to think about ways to reskill these folks and maybe be more creative in our recruiting efforts. Just today at a city hall meeting, we were talking about recruiting folks. The service industry, for example, we all know has been hit very hard. How do we get those folks in police and fire academies to fill some of those large job openings that we've got in our police and fire departments? So just keep that in mind, that there are plenty of folks out there looking for jobs, but they maybe aren't skilled in the areas that you need. So maybe take a look at how you train your employees. Maybe you can find a better pool of candidates if you're willing to work on some training with them. 2 notes of legislation. There is a anti-lobbying bill in the legislature right now. I am not going to go into politics of that other than to tell you to take a look at it and make sure you understand what it says. Previous versions of that bill and previous legislatures would have essentially dissolved organizations like NEDCO, would have prevented staff people like myself and Wayne Mitchell from going to Austin to speak on your behalf as business owners. So just make sure you're fully aware of that. There is also a sick time bill that would require businesses provide 1 hour of sick time for every 30 hours an employee works. It is still a fairly conservative legislature in Austin this year, so I don't know how much traction that has, but that one did capture my attention. So I'd encourage you to pay attention to that and keep an eye on those, and myself and Wayne will certainly keep you informed as anything progresses on those issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larissa. I appreciate that. Any questions of Larissa? Thank you again, Larissa. I'm pleased to welcome from the office of Governor Greg Abbott, our regional representative, Betty Rousseau. Good morning, Betty.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. And it's great to hear about that aviation program at SFA. That's huge for the area as well as the state. So congratulations. That's great. I have several announcements. Wayne, I saw where you put the information for the Governor's Small Business webinar up in the chat, so I appreciate that. Governor Abbott and Nexstar announced that Nexstar television stations across the state of Texas will carry a live telecast of Governor Abbott's 2021 State of the State address on Monday, the February 1st at 7 p.m. If you're interested in that, I can send you a list of the stations it will be on. Let's see, the next one. Governor Abbott and the Texas Department of Public Safety to release the Texas Homeland Security Strategic Plan 2021 through 2025, the state's framework for establishing Homeland Security priorities and focusing its broad range of efforts to develop, sustain, and employ Homeland Security capabilities. Then the governor and the Texas Division of Emergency Management announced the expansion of the COVID-19 rapid testing program for frontline workers at Texas small businesses by dedicating 1 million Binax Now rapid tests to the program. The small business rapid testing program launched in December as a pilot program and has helped small businesses throughout the state conduct rapid tests on employees. This program, TDM, will provide the local chambers of commerce with the testing supplies that will then be allocated by the chambers to local small businesses that choose to participate in the program. And if the Nacogdoches chamber has not been contacted yet about that, I can send Wayne and or Kelly some information on that, on how to sign up to be a part of that. The governor held a roundtable discussion in Austin with law enforcement and public safety advocates to discuss the governor's legislative priorities to ensure a safer future for the Lone Star State. And following the roundtable, the governor held a brief press conference to provide a summary of this discussion and outline the proposed legislative strategies. Let's see. And then the webinar that, like I said, Wayne already put up in the chat. And so if there aren't any questions, I'm going to have to drop off in just a moment, but I appreciate the time. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Betty. And we did receive the information on the self-testing kit. And we're just contemplating whether or not we have the capacity to be able to execute that that service for our members. But we're going to make the decision sometime this week. Any questions of Betty? Well, thank you for joining us, Betty, and we appreciate that report. And I do call your attention to the chat section for the governor's webinar. Information on the new round of PPP, which is tomorrow afternoon at 1 to 2 p.m. Central Time. And information is posted on the site. I'm pleased to see that our city manager has joined us, Mario Canizares. Good morning, Mario.
Hey, Dwayne. Good morning, everyone. My apologies for being late. Very short report here. As you know, we're into the throes of trying to assist with the deployment of the vaccines. And so what I'd like to say is just that the city and the county are working with SFA and their modern language program, along with the School of Social Work, with helping us with the deployment of the vaccine. The state, as of course, is responsible for the supply and disbursement of the vaccine to the various medical providers, but our fire department, along with the county, are assisting with logistics, whether it's at the expo center or just the queuing of folks in vehicles and the registration to make sure that things go smoothly. But working with those two departments, what they'll do is they'll help with Spanish translation, and also working on breaking barriers with those in the areas of our community that are underserved. It's vital for us to get folks vaccinated in our community so we can get past the pandemic. And as vaccines continue to be in limited supply, there is a surge of want for people to get vaccinated. And so we just want to make sure that the access to the vaccine as they become available is as equitable as it can be. And so helping break those barriers, giving people access, breaking language barriers, internet access, et cetera, is vital to making sure that our community is taken care of. So more to come on that, but really proud of the county and the city staff working with Dr. Gordon's team over at SFA to help make things better for our community. With that, I've got nothing further.
Thank you, Mario. Any questions of the city manager? Thank you very much, Mario. Appreciate that. I was told that we may have the opportunity to hear from Representative Travis Clardy. I don't know if he's had a chance to join us as yet. Travis, are you on the line?
Wayne, this is Jerry in
Yes, Jerry.
Representative Clardy's office, and I didn't see him on the line. I know he intended to be here. I can only assume something's hindered him. But I did want to announce that he will be doing his Facebook Live at 3 o'clock on Friday. And so constituents and members of the chamber will have an opportunity to interact with him about the legislative session and all that's going on in Austin. So I encourage everyone to tune in 3 o'clock on Friday. He's resuming that and will be doing it on a weekly basis.
Thank you, Jerry. And we'll post that information as we get it, the contact information for him. And if he does join us a little later, we'll be glad to have him join us. So, from the hospitality industry, representing the Nacogdoches Convention and Visitors Bureau, would you say good morning to Ashley Morgan? Good morning, Ashley.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to step in for Sherry today. Quick report, our hotel occupancy numbers for December were down 11% compared to last year. Not great, but also not the worst. The predictions for January show that things will improve, so we are excited about that. The CVB recognizes the desire for things to do around town, especially as things start to open up and as people are feeling more safe and getting the vaccine. So with that, we have another drive-in movie on February 12th. For Valentine's Day, we'll be showing You've Got Mail out at the airport, and we are so thankful for our partners at the airport for for allowing us to continue doing this. It's been a big success, and we'll have Rice Queen street food truck out there. You can get tickets on Facebook or on our website. Visit nacogdoches.org/NAC@night. Let's see, this week the CVB staff is in the middle of a mid-winter conference with the TACVB. We're hoping to gain some tools and some knowledge to help us help the city propel out of the pandemic and with the recovery process. So we're hoping we can get some valuable tools out of that. Some of you may know that the CVB is celebrating its 25th year this year, and we will be celebrating this over a week-long celebration in March for Charles Bright's birthday, our namesake. And during that time, we'll be spotlighting some local businesses in town with something called a Bright Star, where we recognize local entities that contribute to the success of tourism, which we all know contributes to the success of the city. So we'll be posting about that soon and sending out nomination forms. So please keep an eye out for that. And we've got some great ideas for those businesses to be recognized. And let's see, I had something else. I think that's it. Oh, Next Snack Fridays. I was talking about events. Yeah, so on the fourth Friday of every month, we are going to have food trucks around the square and live music as well. So food trucks will be open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. on the fourth Friday of every month at the CVB Square. We'll have 4 food trucks, 2 from out of town and 2 locals, so we can diversify and keep it exciting. We'll have live music on the porch from 5 to 7 p.m. It's going to be a free event for everyone to attend, and we're excited to bring some action downtown. With that, and I'll open it up for any questions that anyone might have.
Any questions for Ashley? Great job, Ashley. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I do not see Gary Lee Ashcraft on the line, nor do I see Nancy Wyndham. Is that correct? Jessica Sao, are you online to give us a COVID-19 update? Well, I do see Les Linebarger. Les, you want to give us a quick report on the NASD?
Yes, sir, Wayne. Good morning. Thank you. Last week, our Board of Trustees approved funding for 2 projects related to the 2018 bond election. Most of you all are aware of the new construction of the Carpenter Elementary taking place right now at out on Southeast Stallings Drive across from McMichael Middle School, as well as the expansion of McMichael We've also got going on the CTE building that is going up at the high school. But these two new projects will touch different parts of the district. The first one was an award given to Cox Contractors here in Nacogdoches that will replace the HVAC systems at Mike Moses Middle School. And that is an advance of in the coming years of Mike Moses being converted to a elementary school from being a middle school. Trustees also unanimously approved spending money on the construction of a new drop-off and pickup driveway that will go all the way around Fredonia Elementary. If you've ever been, if you've ever had a child go there, or if you've ever been caught in traffic over there in that part of town, when it's time to be picking up kids, it can be a bit harrowing there at that intersection. And this loop that is going to be constructed around the campus will help alleviate that. Now, that also comes in advance of something that will take place at Fredonia in the coming years that's part of the bond program. Fredonia will ultimately be converted to the district's pre-K campus, where all of our pre-K students will be located under one roof at that campus. But before that can happen, then Moses has to be converted to a elementary school. Before that can happen, McMichael has to be completely opened up for all of our middle school students to attend there. So the dominoes are all starting to line up here and to fall in the proper order. And these two projects, while probably relatively small in the grand scheme of things where the bond's concerned, they're vital components of what has to take place before we ultimately reach our goal here in the next couple of years. Wayne, that's all I've got. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Questions of Les? Thank you, Les. We appreciate that. Well, folks, does anybody else have any other announcements they'd like to make? If not, I just want to remind you, we're going to have two programs coming up, one next week and the one the week following. And do want to let you know, Eggs and Issues will take place on Thursday of this week, and it'll feature a presentation from the president and CEO of the Texas Retail Association. Should be very interesting. It's bright and early at 8 o'clock in the morning. I would respectfully suggest that you get online at 7:55. The program will be online only. There'll be no meeting at the Fredonia. And we hope you'll join us for this update on the state of retail in Texas. Any other thoughts, questions? Well, Shannon, I want to thank you and your team once again for joining us here today and providing that great update. And again, congratulations on the work. I know that it was an enormous effort on your part, and Nacogdoches is going to be better because of it. We really appreciate that. And I want to thank all of our presenters and all of you, the participants.
Thank you, Wayne.
If not, everybody have a great week.
Thanks, y'all too. Thanks for having us.